Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're safe and well. It's Friday night. I've got a beer. So's Gary. If you're new to the channel, he's got a short. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you're made aware of any time I put new content on. Videos going up daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a night. And so every interview, every guest we have is priceless. So I don't miss any content. Loads of great guests, loads of great fans coming up, including today. Big Gaz, as he's called himself, Gary Amor. Hi Gary, how you doing, man?
Hi, Russ. How you doing? I'm well.
How are you? How's things in this sort of weird world we live in now? How's it for you?
Well, you join me live from the control tower, the home office in my shed, with the various adornments on my wall that speak of my love and my affiliation to West Ham. But listen, I've got it easy, mate. I've worked all the way through it. I've had no problems like that, and I just stayed at home when I was told. I stuck a mask on my face when someone told me to do it, and I get to drink beer in my favourite West Ham glass,
Very good.
talking to you. So life's sweet.
Nice to, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Just, yeah, same as you, man. Just, yeah, carry on and it is what it is, isn't it? But you know, football was a nice distraction, wasn't it? For it's going to be over on Sundays. It's crazy, isn't it? You're thinking, oh, you've waited so long for football, and then it's been like this sort of like, feast of football. Proper like World Cup style. And after Sunday, that's it until mid-September. Then, like,
Yeah, it's been a funny one. I've really enjoyed. I've actually enjoyed that. I started off through lockdown. I watched every single game of Euro '96 when that went on the
yeah,
ITV hub. I was watching. I think on Amazon there's some World Cup games and World Cup reviews. I was watching those. When I ran out of football to watch, I watched all the Star Wars, all the Avengers. Did all the rest of that most, I guess, most like wannabe geeks have done.
yeah.
And but now football's back, and I have to say I've been loving it because actually we haven't been that bad.
No, 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 no. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's like you're right. I mean, when they pressed pause and then they pressed play again on the league, I don't know what we was expecting because obviously we came against Wolves and it was like, oh, that's it, we're rubbish, we're going down. It's like, well, Wolves are not a shit team, and it's like and
No,
you don't expect to get anything really out of Wolves, but you're right. Then they just do what they always do. It seems, isn't it? It's like when the chips are really down, they do turn up, and it's weird. It's frustrating because we could have been safe well before restart if they were playing the way they're doing now. But I just think it's taken time for everyone to acclimatise. Are you a crowd noise or not crowd noise person?
I flip between the two. If I'm
Yeah.
honest, I can't make my mind up. I think I prefer it without
Mm.
because I'm a bit of a potty mouth, so I'm going to try and be careful tonight. So I quite enjoy hearing the effing and blinding from the players.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't, it's not right. I think the only reason I quite like it is because when I was growing up, I remember um, God, blimey, Castilla, I think it was. We played in the Cup Winners' Cup behind closed doors,
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
an old video, I didn't obviously didn't see the game because it was behind closed doors,
Yeah.
but I remember seeing it in like a history of West Ham video, and the noises. And I used to love watching that particular game, highlight of that particular games. A, because there was a couple of we won. I think we won it 4-1. A, there was a couple of players in there that are in
Yeah.
my list, and so I've watched it again a few times in the last week. And the weirdness of not having anyone there,
Mm.
and it's reminded me of that. So I've kind of enjoyed it, but I have.
Yeah.
So it's not. Yeah, football's all about the fans. Noble said it in his
Oh
little video that he did. Without the fans, the club ain't the club. So,
no,
and that goes for every single club in the football league.
it's true. I don't think it's not just the atmosphere, but I just think the players don't. Talking to a lot of ex-players, and I was saying, behind closed doors, no crowds. How would you survive? And they go, to be honest, we'd need the crowds because if you're feeling shit, or got a little niggle, or you're feeling a bit under the weather, or nothing's clicking for you, having the crowd behind you gives that you have 15, 20%. And it was quite clear to start off with. I think I remember watching that Villa versus Sheffield United game, and it was appalling. I mean, Sheffield United are a classic. They're a classic example of needing a crowd, because they were flying and they've just gone, haven't they, in recent weeks. And it's all about being mentally strong, I think. And it just seems Moyes has just got this. He's just done it, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, I was a very much in the Moyes pro camp because I know that Pellegrini left us in the crap, and I think to be fair, he's come in twice and he saved us, kept us up twice, hasn't he? He's done his job.
Yeah.
And he's just It just seems that we just seem really strong, mentally strong. And it's just I think Souček and Bowen and Rice, those three have just been amazing. Obviously, we signed Souček permanently today, which was obviously going to happen, but. That could be it could be most of our transfer business done already. But to be fair, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's
fingers
weird.
crossed not.
Oh, fingers crossed not. Fingers crossed Brentford don't go up because I want Ollie Watkins. I think he's a great player. But it's weird. It's weird not having the fans there. It's weird because obviously I'm one of the ones there. It's weird when you're, we sit outside. And I'd never sit outside when I'm during the match, but you can, and all you hear is that on the journos' laptops. It's really weird. It's really strange, and you're thinking there's a how many £1 million worth of players are out there, and you can't. There's no one there to watch them. But and it's a shame because obviously Mark did his 500th game in front of no one. Antonio scored 4 goals in front of no one.
300 of you there.
Yeah, I mean, there's 300. I
mean, that's better than no one.
It's better than no one. It's very reminiscent of an under-23 game there when when the under-23s play at London Stadium. There's probably about 200-300, but they're actually fans and players' mums and brothers and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is weird. But hey ho, at least we'll be there next year. At least we'll be in the Premier League next year. We can go into Sunday relaxed. I can't remember the last time I think we've been relaxed at a game. And we can just sit there because there is nothing to play for us really, because maybe down a spot, we can't go up a spot. I think unless it's a massive goal swing, and we can just watch Villa squirm. And I'm quite looking forward to that because I just don't like Villa. I just never have. I don't know why, but
so you want Villa down then?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because
who would you have as the next one? The others then.
Well, I think it's going to be Bournemouth and Villa, and I think Watford are going to stay up. I don't like Watford as well. I'd rather Watford and Villa go down and Bournemouth stay up because I quite like Bournemouth. I just think they're sort of a similar type of, I just see them in the same. And also, it means if they're crap next year, there's another shit team. It's like, so just getting in early.
That's the life of a West Ham fan summed up in one sentence. We're just looking for the 3 teams worse than us.
Yeah,
that's where we start, and we build from there. That's our starting point. And then, let's find 3 teams worse. If we find 10, brilliant.
If we can only dream for 10. But what I'm hoping is, what's frustrating is we've hit some really, really good form, and now we've got one more game to play. And it all buggers up again, and then we have to start all over again. That's the frustrating thing. It'd be nice if they just carried. We'll just start the season. Let's just start the next season. But I mean, it's not like they haven't had 3 months off already. So they give another month and a half off before the season starts again. But we'll see, and then we'll see how long it takes for all the fans to get back or percentage, and no one knows what's going on really, is it? But at least London Stadium's quite good for that sort of social distancing bit. I was trying to space out on at the Watford game where we were there early, and trying to see how many people we can get in a little block. And it's actually quite, because it's a bowl, it's quite easy to do that. But we'll see what happens. But at least it's over. I'm just happy it's over.
Well, you think 60,000 in there? If you put everyone on every other seat, that's probably a metre apart.
Yeah.
You're looking at a good 20,000 in there, even if you miss every other row and every other seat in each row. That's not that. I don't think there's be many other grounds, and I'm grabbing for straws here on the stadium at the minute. There's not many other grounds in the Premiership that are going to do that with that number in. So That's a good reason to have the stadium.
But also it is the access to the ground as well. You know, it's
it's nice and open, isn't it? Yeah.
It's open. You can. I mean, to be honest, to be fair, you know, based on what I've heard journalists say, London Stadium's one of the easiest grounds to get in from the COVID perspective. You know, because you have to go in, you get beeped, and then you have to fill out your form, and then you have to go through your security checks, and it's really simple. Apparently, other grounds it's a complete nightmare, and they've done really well. I mean, they put up their own tent, like it's like a tent. It's very well done with all the car parking and stuff. But and obviously they could do. It's easier to do that if you've got more space. Upton Park, bless it was so tight. You wouldn't get 10,000 in there. They'd probably get 6 or 7 if you're lucky, to be honest. Particularly all the cleanliness as well. You know, you got to think how dirty those fucking toilets and stuff. You know what I mean? You know, could you imagine what was living in there? What diseases were festered in the urinals on the chicken run? But it's I don't want to think. God, it's one of those.
No,
it's one of those. How clean is your
something
house?
up in my mouth thinking about it. It's horrible.
But no, it's just
it's funny because that's some of the best memories, though, isn't it? It's you know, at Upton Park, the toilets were horrific. I mean, you had to wade through a river of piss to get to the toilets. Even if you did go out 5 minutes before half time or 5 minutes after the second half started, it was a river of piss you had to wade through to get to the toilets. And but like, I would take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
Just to be there. I loved. My nan lived, and I'll tell you a bit of a part of what I love about West Ham is my nan lived. I could stand in the back garden and hear the crowd, and right. So I was born to be a West Ham fan because of where my family's from, but. That alone, that even wading through ankle deep toilet paper and piss, I would take that ground every day of the week over any other in the Premier League. Genuinely, like any other ground in the world, because it was our home. It was just everything we were about. It was our identity, and that much as the London Stadium will be one day. We've got to be realistic. We've got to make it home. Upton Park was just so special, so special.
It was, and you know. You were there. West Ham were there for 100 or so years. You know, where we've only been at London Stadium for 3, 4. You know, so it is gonna 4 year season, something like that. So it is gonna feel different. It is gonna feel like a new pair of shoes, and it does take a while for you to wear in a new pair of shoes. But then soon, I think it's easier. It's easier to not worry about the move if the team are performing well. Do you know what I mean? It's like when the team aren't performing well, the stadium is number one reason. Not the fact that the players are not performing well and they brought the wrong players in and managers. It's the stadium's fault, which makes no sense. But when the team are performing well, you haven't heard as many gripes about the stadium. Obviously, particularly, there's no fucker there at the moment, so no one's moaning about it.
It's hard to hear much about it now, isn't it? Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's
it looks amazing at the minute.
Exactly, it's looking brilliant. The pictures looking fantastic, but also it's like because of the crowd noise, you don't get any boos. You know, they're very complimentary of the West Ham players. You know, so it's going for us very much so. But you're right. I know what you mean. It's so much history there that for some people, obviously they're really against it. Some people I was really for it because it's not really. I didn't see the move as for me. I actually saw it for my daughter and her kids. My daughter's 8. She only knows West Ham played at Olympic Stadium. Obviously, I took her to the old ground we broke in beforehand, before we moved, just so she was there. But it is about her at the Olympic Stadium, and and eventually, I think I'm really looking forward to next season now, because I just think if we just got to keep this momentum going, sign players like Bowen, like Souček. Don't waste your money on Andersons and people in other top leagues. You want hungry, maybe British players. But I mean, Souček's a classic example. He came from Sparta Prague, not a great league, and he just we could sell him on the market today for 30 million. No problem at all. No problem at all. Double your money almost. And like Bowen and people like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I just want us to get get at least 30 points on the board or something like that by Jan, and then just have a go at the cup. You know what I mean?
I'd
It's
love
like
to see us with 30 points after 10 games. I
yeah,
really
well,
would.
I mean that would be lovely. I think everyone would like to see us after 10 games. But I'm thinking,
I think that's a beer talking, though.
But
If
I'm
I'm honest,
thinking,
I
yeah, but I'm
don't.
thinking, by January, have 30 points because to January to whenever they're going, I think it's end of May, um, you'd hope to get 10, 15 points in that time. So then you
Yeah,
can concentrate on the league. And obviously, it's so people, we're so transfixed to stay up and get the points that obviously people lose the league, use the cups as a priority. That's the only thing we're going to win as a West Ham fan. We're never going to
yeah,
win the league.
yes,
And I think a couple of cut runs and I think people would start. So obviously, 2006 was amazing, because although we didn't win, but it was great to be there and the atmosphere and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I want next year. Cut run and
yeah.
40 points by end of Feb. Be lovely.
That
Make it
would,
happen.
yeah. That not having to spend the last 2 months of the season worrying about are we going to hit 40,
Yeah.
45 points. We have to hit 45 points, obviously, because we went down on, was it 40, 42 points so we have to hit 45 points before any of us can relax. The old bum I was doing 50p, 20p until we hit that much, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think for me, as a West Ham fan, if I can get to back end of February and know we're safe, that's a good season. And I've read something today actually. It might have been on Facebook. It may even been something that you'd have shared that someone else wrote. I can't remember where I saw it, but our average position over the last however many years it is something like 12th or 13th. So like what are we 18th,
17th,
16th now,
16th, yeah,
17th,
yeah.
So we're only 3 places below our average position.
15th.
So
15th. Sorry, Garrett.
15th. Are we up to 15th? Wow.
Yeah.
Hang on. Sorry, is that a nosebleed up there?
Yeah.
15th. That's the highest we've been all year, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the highest we're going to be. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but I think yes, we want to be successful. We want to challenge for Europe. We want to challenge. And I know we were promised we would challenge for Champions League and 10 years plans and all this, and we are where we are 10 years later. But I think we've got to remember who we are and where we come from. And 12th is our average position. Like one of the reasons I love West Ham, and I know it's usually the first question you ask and all that, but one of the reasons I love West Ham is because we did so well in the cup over the years. We always used to fight in the cup. League was the league. We'd finish 10th, 15th, 12th, 7th, 12th, 15th, 7th. Do you know what I mean? We'd be up and down all over the place. We'd go down, we'd come back up. But we always used to give the cup a go, and I feel like the last probably 10 or 15 years since we got to the final, we haven't really done that in any cup. I mean, I know we got bent over by City 6-0 in one of the semi-final legs of what was that, 2007 or something. I don't know. I can't remember now. But so we've got to semi. But really, it's like when we get there, we don't really feel like we're gonna get there. Do you know what I mean? And since we got to that final. But that was always the thing about West Ham. We do all right in the league, but the cups were where we came alive. Monday night under the lights in a cup game, in a league game. That was what we were about. Definitely at Upton Park, and I think we can have that again at the London Stadium. And that's for me. That's if we could challenge in a cup, I could forgive the poor placings in the league. I could finish the scraping. In the last month and just getting over the line at like 6 games before the end of the season. I'd take that every year for a cup quarter final, semi final every other year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I think to be honest, Gary, I think that's pretty much everyone else. Every other West Ham fan is the same. It's. I say every episode, it's going to be my catchphrase when we get a T-shirt. It's not about the football, because it's not about the football. We know we're not going to win the Premier League, but it's having a go. It's going for the cups. And I think when I interviewed, I can't remember it might have been Akabusi or something like that, and he said what he liked about what he loves about West Ham is those games where we turn up. So it is the Chelsea game. And it is the Arsenal or Tottenham or Man United, and it just gives you that 2 weeks worth of gloating to your mates who
Yeah.
are Tottenham fans, and that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. And yeah, they're going to come back 3 weeks later because you've lost 3-0 to Burnley, but you beat them. You beat Spurs or you beat United, and that is literally being a West Ham fan. It is those moments each season because they come every season. We know they're going to come.
Yeah.
We knew he was going to turn up against Chelsea. I knew he was going to do something to Man United as well, just because it's just West Ham. And anytime someone else needs something, anytime Man United needs something to get win the league or get into Champions League, we fuck it up. We fuck it up for them, and it's true. And that's what I love about West Ham. We're like the
Yeah.
bulldozers. This year, we're like bulldozers of the Premier League. We've relegated Norwich. We've practically relegated Watford, I see, and definitely got Nigel Pearson sacked. I think we've got another couple of managers sacked after we beat them as well. We've buggered up Man United's Champions League and hopefully relegate Villa as well. So, we've done quite well. We've got
Oh,
quite
yeah.
You've done all right. So, it's no honours, but it's honours for ourselves, honours and a badge for ourselves. But, I can tell why. And I usually ask the question about why West Ham's your club. But obviously, originally you said you lived in the area, and imagine the love for West Ham just started from there. Really, for you, you're sort of born into it. Really.
Absolutely. I mean, my dad. So everyone on my dad's side, going back as far as I know, have been West Ham fans. They lived in
Yeah.
East Ham. My nan lived on Gillett Avenue, which anyone who knows the area is just off the High Road. It's 2 or 3 streets up on the other side of the road from Upton Park. And as a kid, we used to go and see my nan every other Saturday. And I'd stand in the back garden when West Ham were at home and listen to the crowd. I'd know the score by the noise from the ground. That's how close we were. And it was things like my nan used to talk to my nan about it and my dad about football. And they had season tickets in the 60s and long before I was born, clearly, because look at me, I'm very young. But they had season tickets and they would talk about players like my nan's favourite player was Redknapp. And looking back, I'm thinking, we had Bobby Moore and Jeff Hurst and Martin Peters. How is Redknapp your favourite, Nan? But, she loved Redknapp. And my dad used to talk about Peter Braybrook and how he used to run up the wing and he would run up the wing and stop dead with the ball, and the player that he was chasing him would run past him, and then Braybrook would ping the ball in. And like, I'd never seen any of these players, but I just used to love the idea of them, and that whole thing was just, for me, it just grew and grew on me. And like, there's pictures of me as a kid at the end of my nan's road, the 1980 Cup final bus going past with the cup on it and all the players. And so I was born to be a West Ham fan for my sins. I must have done something in a previous life that was hideous, but I wouldn't change it. Much as I've tried to get my boy to be a Hammers fan, I failed as a parent. He's a Liverpool. He supports Liverpool. West Ham are his second team. I've taken him to Upton Park. I've taken him to the London Stadium so the first time that my dad and my boy went to the London Stadium was with me, and it was important. 3 generations. I was at the Bournemouth game on New Year's Day this year, so that was a perfect game this year to take him to as well. So for me, I was never going to support another team. I've often thought what life might be like supporting a Man United or an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a Chelsea, but I wouldn't want it any other way than West Ham. They're in my heart, and they always will be. And it almost makes me like tearful and emotional just thinking about that. And it sounds soppy and everything, but man,
It's true.
why would you want anything different than what's in your family line?
Yeah, no, totally. It's true. You're right. It's it just gets into your skin, doesn't it? It's like, I was talking to someone and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know why I started supporting West Ham, but then I blinked and I was being a season ticket holder for 25 years." And I was like, "How did that happen?" And it's true. It's like West Ham, as you said, you got your bunk out shelter there with all your memorabilia, and it's true. It just gets into you. Obviously, you got the memo about the shirts, which was good. But it's true. Yeah, you're right. It's match, and it just gets into everything you do, doesn't it? And it's it's like it's a bit like a nice comfy jumper. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like you know what you're gonna get. You know you're gonna get
Yeah,
disappointment every year. I mean, our war song is about things fading and dying. You know, like, and so we've already set our stall out. You know, but you just and occasionally it surprises you, and it's nice to know you
yeah,
know you're gonna get surprised, good and bad surprises. But it's sort of constant. You know, West Ham is a constant. You know, and as you
yeah,
said, it could be in a championship. Then we have a good season. Then we have loads of fun because we play loads of different teams and we win loads of games, hopefully. And you know, it's just the way it works out, isn't it? It's like, you know, we just carry on, doesn't
yeah.
matter. You know, and it's the same with I mean, it's the same as, you know, my daughter, bless her, she's you know, I've achieved as a parent, Gary, because she's a West Ham fan. But although
I just
she hasn't been to a game yet. I'll be honest. She hasn't been to a men's game. She's been to plenty of the women's games because we only live in Hornchurch, so we only live like 5 minutes away from Rush Green.
yeah,
But yeah, and actually the women's games really helps because it's sort of, oh, women can play football, Daddy, as well. You know, I want to go and watch that. And I want
yeah,
to wear West Ham top. So she sort of, I'm sort of, it's the sneaky approach of going, you know, going full circle. But it's true, you know. And it's like, you know, when you look at your, I don't know, same as me. Maybe you got you know, a meeting comes into your diary. You go, oh, there's an evening game on that day. Can we move it to 4 o'clock? You know, so you know, no full well you're going to West Ham. But and it is, and I think that's what people have missed as well. It's not the football. It's the camaraderie, as you said. It's you going with, you know, as you said, when you went with your old man and you went with your son. It's that community spirit that we all sort of still see on Facebook and stuff through the West Ham chat groups and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I think that's what people really miss and that's why I think people quite like this show, because it's like they're talking to people. I talk to people that they know, and it's a bit like going down the pub, but it's just over the internet, really, isn't it? To be honest, I mean, even more so today, yeah, chin chin. But it is. It's like, and the same with like the Hammers 11 thing. You know, it's like, oh, you know, it's a type of discussion you would have in the pub before a game or after
yeah.
a game. You know, who would you have? Oh, I don't know. I'd have Roberto. And I think it's.
I definitely wouldn't chuck my kid out of a burning building to that one.
Yeah, catch it with no rope. No bother. Don't bother. Isn't he? I've heard that it's now Vera's going to buy him permanently now. I think I read today. It's like, really?
There's one born every minute, pal. There's one born every minute. That's all we can hope.
He's been crap. He's been crap there as well. But
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some big score lines against them with him playing, but you don't know how he may well have made 20 saves in those games and only let 4 in. So, I mean, you can only imagine how crap their back fours must be.
It's just bizarre.
Who knows?
But
we really got banned sandwich making in the changing rooms for goalkeepers beforehand, though, for him.
Yeah.
Because he got a lot of butter on them gloves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He was. Yeah, it was. Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? Really, you know, in theory, what they were trying to do was going to work as long as Fabianski didn't get injured. I mean, you know,
Yes.
it was like, send Nathan Trott on loan, perfect. Get 2, you know, experienced goalkeepers in to cover for second and third choice. Yeah, no problems. They can play cup games. Fabianski gets injured, and that just basically fucked up the season, fucked up Pellegrini's reign at West Ham, and it's incredible, isn't it? One thing that one thing made all the difference in that era.
I think, for me, it was telling, because I played in goal at Park. We were sort of chatting before. I played at Park football. I played in goal. I played an okay level. I didn't play very high up. I played a couple of games at semi-pro, but not literally 1 or 2. And that was because they were desperate on the day, and I just happened to be there in my gloves.
You had your boots.
Just turned up. But but for me, from day one, it just didn't look comfortable. It didn't look like he wanted to be there. There was no goalkeeping is, and I wasn't a very good goalkeeper, but when as a goalkeeper, if you're confident, you'll do all right. You'll fling yourself at stuff that you've got no right to stay in, and you might get a fingertip to it, and he'll hit the post and go wide. And you think, Christ, how do I get to that? And people go, "Cool, yeah, Gaz, you're a great shot stopper." But it's because I'm throwing myself around like an idiot, thinking I can get the stuff I didn't really think I could get to.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, I'll be
Yeah, I know,
surprised.
man.
But he never looked like he thought he
Nah.
could save like 5p out of £100. You know what I mean? There was no there was never he never looked like he was a keeper. He looked like that kid that turned up, didn't know how to play football, so they just chucked him in sticks, and somehow he lucked his way up to pro football, and it was never whichever scout picked him. If they've still got a job at West Ham, someone needs to dig them out and get rid.
No, because all the scouts were all Pellegrini's cousins and brothers and sons, and so they've all gone as well. So poor Moisey turned up, and the cupboard was bare. Anyway, let's get on to the 11 because I think that will sort of help. That will help. We'll keep the conversation flowing as you talk about goalkeepers and stuff. So yeah, I mean the only rule is that you have to be alive to have seen them play. That's the only caveat we put in. And you can do whatever you want, guys, in terms of types of plays you want to pick. It's up to you, man. Now you've thought long and hard about this, I know. In terms of this 11. So do you want to introduce your sort of concept, your theme, and then we'll go through the players?
So for me, I've watched loads and loads of your videos and interviews that you've done with pros and with the fans and with the guys that run the fan pages and everything else. And I wanted to try and do something different. And people have picked, like the guy that picked one from every different country. And mate, I can do that. That was far too hard. So I just wanted to pick something really personal to me. So the players that made me fall in love with West Ham, not the players that I think are the best players necessarily, although some of them I do think are the best players. But the players that made me fall in love with the club, and that I've through my time of watching, and whether it be live or on telly or video or whatever, that I've been alive for. Don't worry, I haven't gone around that one. And it is 4-4-2. I have put some round pegs in square holes just to get them in. But for me, this is about the players when they were playing for us, regardless of how they left or how they came about being West Ham players. These players made me proud to be a West Ham fan, and I feel part of them. Some of them will represent what I think West Ham fans want from players, rather than just being great players. They're what West Ham wanted as players, and some of them are just really personal decisions to me. So rather than they were just like, I wouldn't pick a Pyatt just because he was a great player, unless he actually personally made me fall in love with West Ham all over again. So that's my background to it.
All right, guys. So between the sticks, then, based on that, Roberto's in surely.
Not a chance. So I thought long and hard about this. Ludo I love, Xhaka I loved. I had a soft spot for Rob Green. He had a soft spot between his legs, round about where his hands should have been. But for me, there was only ever one keeper. He's the guy that made me want to play in golf when I was a kid. I met him a couple of times. I met him at keeper school in Wokingham, near where I live. I live in Reading, so that's why one of the reasons I love Xhaka. I'd heard of him. He's fine for us. He was brilliant for us. The guy I'm putting in sticks is Parksy. He had septic elbows and septic knees. But that guy was, I met him at a keeper school in Wokingham that he was running. So a guy who ran the football team I played for had his son going to it. He said, why don't you come along and see if you can pick some goalkeeping coaching tips up? Because I was getting to the age where I was in my late 20s, I think. I don't think I was any older than that, but he seemed to think I was getting ready to retire. I played until I was in my 40s. But he said, come down and get some ideas about a coach. And I went down and I was only watching. And obviously everyone else that was actually coaching, being coached, was paid to be there. And Parksy actually took the time to come over and talk to me and find out why I was there. And I was talking, he said, he gave me some tips. And I was like, this is amazing. Do you know what I mean? This guy was a hero when I wanted to be a footballer. And I met him on a stadium tour. Him and Alan Taylor were taking us round, and I sort of got a chance to actually sit and ask him questions. And he's just such. I went into the bar afterwards, and him and Alan were there, and I was driving. So I got. He made me feel like if I wasn't driving and I was staying up there tonight, he'd have sat and had a load of beers with me. For me, that's what footballers should be. I mean, they ain't anymore. But that's what they should be. So
Yeah,
Parksy,
totally.
100%.
Yeah, perfect, lovely guy.
No
Yeah, we'll get.
surprises from the first one, is there?
Nah, I mean, he's come. We're gonna get him on when everything sorts itself out. I interviewed I interviewed Marie, his daughter, the other day, who was great fun. Love chatting to Marie, and yeah, we're gonna do it in his bar. He's apparently got a really nice bar in his house. I was like, right, okay, that's it. You've said it on camera, live. You're not a liar now, Marie. So, bless Marie. She's lovely. She's really good fun. He's 70 soon, Phil Parks. Crazy, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, he's 70th
He's
birthday
nearly as
coming
old
up
as my
soon.
dad.
I know, mental, isn't
Wow.
it? I know, he's going to be 70.
I never
It's
knew that.
in a few weeks' time, I think. You'll see it because Maria will take loads of pictures on Facebook and stuff. So, follow her on Facebook and yeah, you'll see him on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently
I didn't know.
he's been growing the mullet back. Is the
It's a big-
quarantine mullet.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
that,
just for his 70th.
love it.
He's great. He's
Love
a
it.
lovely guy.
Love it.
Right, okay, we'll put Parks in. Left back? Who should we have for left back?
It's only going to be one guy at left back, and he's the guy. If you don't pick Lampard Senior, you're going to pick. I think most people pick this guy. It's Dixie.
Well,
He
oh,
stood-
sorry, I thought
he
that's
stood-
one rat. Sorry, I apologize.
But it's Dixie. It has to be. The guy was just an animal.
Yeah.
I loved his drive and his desire. Sweetest left foot I've seen at Upton Park. He could hit a shot from 30 yards. He could hit a penalty yard, and then he wanted to. I remember watching Record Breakers.
Yeah.
I've got this memory, and it's. Listen, I grew up in the 90s. Everything's a bit hazy. You know what I mean? But I seem to remember him and Burrows having a penalty off on Record Breakers who could kick the ball the hardest. And at the time, I think Dixie may have beat him by like 2 miles an hour. And I mean, when he hit a penalty, Christ, it stayed hit for about a week. But he was one of the most underrated players of his generation. Yeah, he was filth, and we loved him for it. I remember him stamping on Spencer's head against Chelsea, but that's what most of the chicken run wanted to do. I guess he's probably one of the few players that played it on the side of the pitch that would have run up and down that side of the chicken run. That the chicken run probably wouldn't have had a go because they were worried he might jump in and do a Cantona on most of them.
Yeah.
But what a player! What a guy! What a player! One of the few that I haven't met that I would love to sit and have a beer and listen to him sort of wax lyrical about his time at the club, and just for me a modern day legend.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And obviously he'll be back at the London Stadium next year in Slav, so that'll be interesting. Hopefully some fans will be there to actually give him a clap again, which is great. No, it's
Hopefully he takes a sick day that day.
Yeah, top guy. And obviously he's having a kid soon, another kid soon. So he's timed that well. Gonna be born in close season. So yeah, it's very good. Right, but Julian, I mean, he's Mr. West Ham for me. Yeah, I love the man.
Yeah,
I think he's brilliant. As you said, he's the type of person you could easily see yourself having a few beers with him. He just has that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to fall out of him whilst he's had a few beers, but
no.
But it's the eyes as well. I remember seeing pictures of him. I never got close enough to really look at them. And I'm not into gazing into men's eyes or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But the pictures of him, the bright blue eyes, the intensity of his eyes, it was like you were looking into his soul. It was like every time he went out on that football pitch, he laid everything out there. And you don't see enough of that. You've never seen enough of that in football, for my money.
Definitely not. Right, okay, Julian's in. Right back. Gaz, who we got right back, man?
For me, I think I'm putting a square peg in a round hole here, but I've got to have him. It's another one with a never say die attitude. He was always driving forward. He could. I think he played more left back, if I remember rightly, than anywhere. But I've got to have Georgie Paris in my team somewhere. So Georgie Paris goes in there because he was capable of running up and down the line, running up and down through the middle, and it didn't matter where he played. He might pop up on the edge of the 6 yard box and poke one home. You know what I mean? He was that sort of player. And when I was at an age where growing up watching football and being a football supporter, and I wasn't going so much at that point because my dad weren't taking me, and I was too young to go on my own.
Yeah.
But like my mates were taking the mick out of me because we were either up or down. I think he was sort of, early, that late 80s, early 90s, where we were up and down a little bit. And but he was a player I could hang me out on and say, well, look, you know, we might be shit, but we got George Paris, and he'll run all day for you, and he'll kick lumps out of anyone that sits in front of him, and he was a decent player as well. You know, he weren't the best player we ever had, and he wouldn't probably get in many people's best 11. But for me, he was a player that I live in.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Not sure I can see or hear you at the minute.
Can you hear me now, guys? Hello. 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 After Gary. Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
No, don't be silly.
Someone stood between me and the Wi-Fi, I think.
Oh, someone put their had their chair on the hose. On the Wi-Fi hose, yeah, I know what you mean about George Parrish. What you're saying, you know, he was going to give you all, weren't he? And that's what you want, West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything we're about as a club is win, lose or draw. As long as we've given everything, you know, we lose games sometimes. Everyone does. As long as we've given everything, and George will always give everything. As from my hazy memory of those days, you know, I always feel like he gave everything, you know. So that's for me why he's got to go in.
Yeah, no worries. Georgie's in. Halfbacks. We go centre back rather. Who are we gonna have?
So halfbacks. You can tell you've been talking to some of the older players, can't you? So for me, one of our own. He might not have been with us as long as we'd like to have seen him. I remember the pride of hearing when he first won his first England cap. I think he came on as a sub against Cameroon. I had a lot of mates who weren't football fans, and so I'd be hanging around with them. I'd be in their kitchen, and I'd sneakily put their mum's radio on in the kitchen at like 20 years old, and they'd be getting the beer out, and I'd be listening to the football and trying to make sure I knew what was going on. And I remember, for me, you know, Rio was a player that we should never let Rio go. We should never. I guess, you know, at the time, 18 million quid to Leeds, it was inevitable he was going to go. 80 million quid then was like 60, 70 million quid now, wasn't it? But we were never going to keep him really as a club. But to see someone come out, he was. I know he wasn't necessarily the first of that generation that came out of the academy, but he was the first one that we really thought.
Yeah.
I mean, they were comparing him to Bobby Moore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no one really, genuinely, when you think about it, I can't think of anyone else that's ever been compared to Bobby Moore.
No.
At West Ham, other than Rio. And when you think about it, from a playing point of view, maybe not from a personal point of view, but from a player point of view, you could absolutely see the comparisons. He was classy on the pitch. He knew how to play the ball. He saw the game before it happened. He would get the ball down, get his head up, play a pass. You know, very rarely came off the pitch filthy dirty, which was something that you talk to any of the old players about at West Ham. You hear them all say it. You know, Redknapp's one that always used to say about how he used to come off immaculate. And for me, Rio's got to go in there, because I was proud of having him at our club, and when he played for England, I was proud that he was a West Ham player playing for England.
Yeah, no, totally agree, Gaz. You're right. He was in my team. No, I think you're right. He's and he's one of those players who I still see him on telly, you still think he's a West Ham boy, innit? Do you know, he was a West Ham boy, you know, he still is.
At his core, yeah, absolutely at his core, he's still a West Ham boy.
Right, okay, who's Rio going to partner then?
So it can only be one, and most people have him at right back or centre mid, but I've got to put him in at centre half, because that's when I knew him at the end of his career. I think it was 1988. He came back after a year off from injury. I think he'd retired. I remember being on my paper round as a kid, and hearing that he was making a comeback. I don't know where, I seem to remember hearing it on the radio, but that can't be right because I was riding a bike. But you know how memories get hazy.
Yeah.
But at the age of 41, he came back and he played pretty much, you know, 3/4 of the season or whatever it was. But it's got to be Billy Bonds. You can't, for me, you can't have a West Ham 11 without Billy Bonds in. From people of my age who will have seen him play. He was, you know, I didn't see a lot of him, but what a player. You know, if you want, when you're talking about West Ham, again, we'll go over the gave everything in every game. I mean, my first 5 players are exact. That's all they are. They gave everything. Dixie is probably, and Rio are the 2 classy players in that. But, I mean, Bonzi could play. Don't get me wrong, but he was just. He would never. I run a boxing club. I boxed a little bit, and the one thing we always say to the boys is never leave anything in a ring. And if ever there was a phrase that referred to to Billy Bond, better than that, I've never heard it. He left everything on that pitch every game he played, and 100%. And he'd be my skipper as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. And it was nice to see. Obviously, when we named the stand after him, that was a special moment.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Special moment. Okay, that's the defence done. Let's go left midfield. Who we got?
Glad you said left, because that's the next one written on my bit of paper. So if you'd have said right, I'd have been scrabbling around and lost myself. But I've given the illusion away now, haven't I? But for me, I think this might be a little bit of again my hazy memories of the time. And I think this might be a little bit of a square peg in a round hole to get him in the side. But I love this guy. I love this style. He scored my favourite header against I've ever seen against Man United. Is Jeff Pike. I love this guy. I remember hearing a bit of commentary. I can't remember the guy's name doing the commentary, but he was massive in the 80s and early 90s for commentary. But a goal by Pike and a beauty, and I remember he smashed the top corner, and I think that might have been, it could have even been against Castilla in the game I talked about earlier, and I know he scored I think he scored a couple in that game, and like I say, that was kind of the tipping point for me that made me one of the tipping points for me that made me fall in love with the club, seeing loads of videos of that when I was when I was growing up, and I loved the fact that he was just another one up and down the pitch, never gave it. I loved watching your interview with him and his Hammers 11. It still spoke as he played for me, you know, and probably won't make many 11s. If you've had him before, I'd be surprised. But for me, I probably my first favourite West Ham player.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, he spoke just. I mean, I never saw him play, but obviously I watched his videos, watched highlights, and he did speak just as good. I didn't think about it. He did speak as he played, but and that's why it's important, because players are important, and he made you fall in love with the club. So he's a lovely guy, and people, players who he played with at times do speak really highly of him as well, and that to me gives an extra credence to how good a player is. If your teammates are saying what a player you are, because they're pretty good judges of character. Right, go on, you carry on your list. I don't want you to bug up your order. So you carry on, Gaz, as you go through, man. I'll let you carry on.
We'll go the other side.
Go on, then.
We'll go the other side then, if that's all right. We'll go to right mid. So, I started. The 90s and the early 2000s were the pinnacle of West Ham and football in my lifetime. We might not have had, I know we won the cup in 80 and 75 and European stuff in the 60s. I weren't around for that, and I wasn't old enough to appreciate that. But for me, one of the players that sums up, and I know that people have a problem with Harry, but for me, that's my favourite period of being a West Ham fan, because we played great football. And one of the best players in that time for me was Trevor Sinclair, Tricky Trev. I know, not the other Tricky Trev that was around before him, but Trevor Sinclair, he was classy, just drifted past players. He's got some cracking goals, and let's not forget the cross that set up the best goal that West Ham have ever scored, in my opinion. Came from Trev on the right hand side, and I think for me probably one of our most underrated players. I don't think he gets anywhere near the plaudits that perhaps he should have.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's true. I think with Trev, I think you're right. I think it's a generational thing as well, isn't it? So, as you said, people in our generation, so to speak, would probably put him in the team because they, as you said, that was my favourite era as well, the Redknapp era, and I think I think a mark for good play is when they can play more than one position without it seeming
Yeah,
like they're a square peg in around, whatever it is. And
yeah,
he played so many different positions. Not just England, he played on the left, and he played on the
yeah,
right
yeah.
wing. He started up front with us. He played right back, I think, or right wing back as well.
Yeah,
And
he was playing wing back. Yeah,
every position, he was class. When he was on form, when he had the bit between, a bit like Antonio, really. When he had a bit between his teeth, and stuck his arse out a bit more, and he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant player.
yeah.
And
He was a game changer on his
he
day.
was, yeah. We resurrected his career at West Ham. QPR, he had a good beginning. He scored that bicycle kick with everyone. He had the dreadlocks, and then he sort of went downhill. And then I think we got him for Dowie and Roland and a couple of million. So yeah, it was absolutely typical Harry Deal. And we resurrected his career, got him back into the England squad. Then he went and played for City, and prolonged his career a little bit longer. No, I love Trevor Sinclair. No, I think it's great. That's a good shout. It's a good shout, man. You carry on, Gaz. No, you're doing well, man. Keep going.
We're so we're going to the centre mid pairing. The
Sure.
first one, classy player. You've interviewed him, spoke classy. He wouldn't pick an 11 because he didn't want to upset anyone, if I remember rightly. He was the first name I ever had on a shirt, and I think he's the only player name, if I remember rightly, he's the only player name. I don't think I've ever had another one. Number 14, from about, I think about 94, the big tick and the pony shirt, Ian Bish.
Yeah, Bish,
I loved him. Loved Bish. Classy. We got him for peanuts when Morley came in as well. We'd had a rough few. Again, hazy memories, but I'm pretty sure we had a rough few years before he came in, and then we started to do better on the back of him and Morley coming in, and we got rid of I think we got rid of the likes of Mike Small, and there's a name for him, Mike Small. Jesus, I bet he's never made anyone's 11.
No,
but that's no disrespect to the player. He's probably a lovely guy and did everything he could for.
I'll find him. We'll get him on the channel. We'll get him on the channel now, and I'll say Gaz said you were shit.
Yeah, I bet he don't give a monkey's what I think about him because I know nothing about football clearly. But no, Bish for me was one of my at that era one of my favourite players, and he was so classy and should have played for England and should have gone on to much bigger and better things than he did really. But I loved having him as part of it, and I thought I feel like he was poorly treated a little bit by the club. Maybe by managers at times, and probably deserved a bit more for what he gave us. But what a player! And to be fair, actually, the midfield partner with him, I feel like he's getting a bit of a rough deal at the minute from some of the fans. I'm not massively active on Facebook groups and stuff because I'm an old man and I don't really get it all. But I keep seeing people speaking of our what I call a modern day legend and the last of a breed at the club, and alongside Bish has got to go nose for me. 500 games at one club. I genuinely don't think in 15, 16 years time you'll see another player do it.
Oh no.
I don't, not just at our club. No. I don't think at any club. I think the Gerrards, the Nobles, the Skulls, players like that stay at the Nevilles. God, sorry about that. I didn't mean to use that sort of language, but you're not saying those one club players that stay and play 400 or 500 games for one club. Don't think you'll see them anymore. No. I just don't think they exist. Even for the Man Uniteds and the Man Cities and the Arsenals and Liverpools and Tottenhams and Chelseas. I just don't. Those top 6 or 8 teams as they're called. I just don't think they exist anymore. And Nobes is the last of dime. And what he's given us as a club, I think the disrespect that some of the fans are showing him on Facebook, not that he probably gives a shit on what people say on Facebook, he probably don't read none of it, but that's not the point. I think if you're going to be disrespectful, don't be disrespectful in any form on any media or platform. That guy does not deserve it.
No.
He's not the player he was 2 or 3 seasons ago. I completely admit that. But I think the way that in the last 2 or 3 games he's been reinvented as a number 10, playing off Antonio, I think the last 2 or 3 games have said to me that actually we've moved Anderson out, we've moved Lanzini out, and we've put Noble in there, and we've looked a different side. And that tells you everything you need to know about Mark Noble. I'm sure he don't give a monkeys about my opinion either, but for me, he's nailed down, screwed in, bolted up, locked away, club legend, got to be in there.
Oh, totally, and I just think he's brilliant, and you're right. I think he's part of a dying breed. I would love another 500 player, Declan Rice. I would love a Declan Rice, and maybe you know what I mean. It's like it's like if there's always talk of what he's gonna. Will he be in the team next year? Will he be playing for us? But he's got the potential. I'm just going to say it's in literally like 3 weeks he'll probably be sold, but he's got the potential. Do you know what I mean? He seems to be a really level-headed player, a really level-headed bloke. Loves the club, and he's learned so much from Mark Noble. You can see that in terms of the way he conducts himself. Needs to sort of tighten himself up with his interviews, because they're a bit too, from the heart. But that gets knocked out. I mean, you look at Mark Noble, he's just
our job.
He's deadpan and da-da-da and da-da-da. That's what he needs rather than going buzzing. Yeah, it's lovely, but he'll get tied up there. But he has got, there's so many players of his generation who, I'm thinking like the Mason Mounts and people and Ross Barkleys and people like that who just go to Chelsea or go to the big clubs, are in a sea of other international superstars and don't shine. He's a big fish in a small pond at West Ham. And I could see him. Well, yeah, I think wishful thinking through my claret glasses, not rose tinted, but claret tinted glasses. I could just see him still having that, just being different, being a one-man club, being like, we know it's not going to happen. I'm really king of wishful thinking, but I could see that more than anyone else in this generation. I could see Mason Mount buggering off to, an Arsenal, or you're going to, I don't know, Italy or something like that. You get that feeling with some players, but with Deck, I just don't get that feeling. But we'll see.
I think the lessons of Scott Parker need to be learned. It was he had the potential to be that player for Charlton when he was there, and he went to Chelsea because it's the bigger club. It was the potential of big money, Champions League football, glory, and all the rest of it. It didn't work out for him, and he ended up coming to us and becoming, and he wasn't a million miles out of getting into the team for me. One of our. He was only with us a few years, but I absolutely loved having him at the club. And given the proviso of what my 11 is about, he wasn't a million miles away from getting in. I think Declan Rice can look at that and say, actually, do you know what, is my future best served by going to Chelsea and being that little part of a big thing and getting the odd game in the Champions League and getting 10 or 15 games a season in the Premier League, but not being the main man there. I mean, he could go on to any club in the world and potentially become the main man. He's that good. But or does he stay with us for another 4 or 5 years and try and build something with us? And it's all about whether or not the owners will go on and help him and build a team around him.
That's
if they do that, there's massive potential for the club. But if they don't, who knows? Who knows what could happen? But
who knows?
But yeah, he is Mark Noble in waiting.
He is. Yes, we like that. Go on. Yeah.
But he could be 10 times a player. Nobes. He tends to be 10 times a player. Noble. And that's no disrespect to Mark.
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, I totally agree. Right, go on in. Let's go up front then.
Two up. So I would bet a small amount of money that no one's picked one of my strikers. I would bet a large amount of money that most people have picked my other one. My first one made me believe we could be something special. He made me believe that we could go on and win stuff, and he scored in an FA Cup final for us. And I thought when we signed him, he was a big name signing. He didn't cost us a fortune, although it was good money at the time. Dean Ashton, for me. I fell in love with that guy, and I've never forgiven Sean Wright Phillips.
No, me neither. Still
He
can't.
wrecked our potentially our best striker we've ever had. And I don't mean technically being better than my other striker, or technically better than a Jeff Hurst or Tony Cottee or Frank McAvenny or anything like that. Not necessarily a better player, but could have gone on to score hundreds of goals for us. And unfortunately, it never really came to pass. But he made me believe, and I could have picked 5 or 6 other strikers who had a bigger impact on me. With Tony Cottee and McAvenny, when I was first getting into football, I was 12 years old at the 85-86 season. Cottee and McAvenny scoring 50, 60 goals between them. I remember the 4-1 game against Chelsea where I think they scored a couple each. I remember a goal coming off someone's chest and being volleyed. I can't remember now, but completely. But a long time ago. But I remember those players and wanting to support West Ham all the more because they were there. But this guy, in recent years, I say recent, 15 years ago, but in recent years, made me believe that we were going on to bigger and better things. So Dean Ashton for me. I'd be surprised if anyone else has picked him in the 11s.
I mean, I picked him in mine. I picked him in mine for that exact reason.
You picked a couple of my players.
Yeah. No, it's very similar actually. I picked him for exact reason because I just think what could have been. Not only would he have, been West Ham's one of our best strikers, he'd have been one of England's best strikers, and he would have been that partner to Rooney that we were crying out for, where they were putting Heskey in and then he'd play. He would have been him and Rooney, and he may well have been at Man United playing with Rooney sometime, in his career. Yeah. But obviously when he came back for Mark's testimonial, when he scored that goal, he just still got it. Still got it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're still levelling that bit of the pitch off. When he did the overhead kick, because he put some timber on by then. But who am I to speak? But But I think he was the natural man to take over from Alan Shearer. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Shearer. It was around about that time Shearer was coming to the end of his career. I think he was the player that England were crying out for to replace Shearer. And like you say, partner Rooney, 100%. Yeah, I completely get that. Yep. But to partner him, you want someone who's gonna. I feel you want someone who's gonna dart around, get around the edges of the box, pick the ball up, do something magical. And if he doesn't stick it in the top corner, give it to Ashton, put it away from the edge of the box, from 6 yards out from the penalty spot or whatever. But he had unbelievable skill. He wore his heart on his sleeve. We loved him, but more importantly, he loved us back.
Yeah.
He might not have turned up for many away games, but that's not important. Paolo Di Canio. Yeah. I've got a shirt up there signed. I was going to move it behind me, but I couldn't be asked, to be honest. I'd only move it back again. I like looking at it, so it's in front of me rather than behind me. But for me, PDC, in my lifetime, greatest player we've had. Yeah. There may have, I think I've heard you say it, there may have been better technical players in the Payets and people of that ilk. But for me, the game against Bradford, sitting on the floor, I'm not playing. I love the story when Harry tells it. I'm not playing anymore, boss. I'm not playing anymore. Paolo, get up, mate, get up. And then the crowd starts to sing and he gets up and then he wins the penalty and the game turns around. He might not have, like I say, he may have only played 2 out of 3 games, really speaking. He might have been on the pitch for all 3, but he only played 2 out of 3. But when he did play those 2 out of 3, wow, what a player. And someone that just, the most important thing for West Ham fans, I feel, is a player that loved us.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be a great player. And I like to think all 11 loved us like we love them. So that's Di Canio. He can take penalties. I'm not going to let him argue with anyone over penalties. He can definitely take the penalties.
Fun, wouldn't they? Yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
Oh
God, yeah.
Oh, you've just
it's on the wrong side of the paper. Look.
You've just killed Paolo Di Canio. Oh God. I know what you mean.
God help us.
Paolo was box office, wasn't he? I've said it before. I loved the man, loved him as a player. And you're right. That whole team, you'd like to think they'd all they all sort of would fight for the shirt, really, wouldn't we? And that's what we want. That's what we want, really, isn't it? We just want. God
Yeah,
loves a trial, and so do we. You know, it's it's just such a simple game. It can be if you just try with West Ham fans. You know,
yeah.
if you're not the most technical, but as long as you run after that,
It-
you know, run after that ball, you know, like Colton Cole used to run after that ball in that corner flag.
yeah,
He knows he's not getting that ball, but he still does it, and you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
give him a clap. And
And
that's
it,
what we.
and for Carlton Cole's a good one to mention because there's a few honourable mentions I've got to chuck in.
Brilliant.
Carlos Tevez, one
Yeah.
season that he, I mean, well, I say one season, probably about 10 games.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
wow, what a 10 games. Completely turned us around. From my nan, Harry Redknapp, as a player, I didn't see him play. I know it's got to be in my lifetime, but he was our manager, so it kind of just drifts in. But my nan loved him and talked about him, and that was one of the reasons, given the proviso of loving why I love West Ham. My dad's favourite player, Peter Braybrook, as I spoke about earlier, also my granddad's favourite player. I used to love him, used to talk about him. My granddad died when I was very young, but he's the reason my dad always used to talk about him. So for me, that's really important. And a player that, again, probably hasn't come up very often, and I don't know why I loved him. I don't really remember him playing that well for us, if I'm honest, but Igor Stimac.
Oh, good.
There's something about that guy that
Solid.
in that period when he was playing for us, I really liked him.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and I don't remember him having any outstanding games for us or any really bad games for us, but I just remember when he came in, was it him and One Chop came? Was it him and One? Did he come about at the same time as One Chop?
Both came, from Derby. I think they both came roughly the same
Yeah,
time.
but them two, and One Chop's another one that deserves an honourable mention. That I don't think he knew what was going to happen next, let alone the rest of us.
No.
His legs went one way, his body went the other, and the ball went a different direction. And he still managed to get back on the end of it and score against Man United, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So who cares?
Yeah, but there's some honourable mentions that I mean, it's not a great bench, but stick them all on the bench and see what happens.
Exactly. Gary, man, it's been great. Great chatting to you. Loved it. Really, really loved it, man. Thank you for
Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
All the preparation, all the notes, and there we go.
I know.
See? It doesn't all just get
This
thrown together.
This is about the fourth version. This is, oh mate, you want to see the stacks of paper I've thrown away. I've had I had a season ticket for a few years. I live in Reading. I've always lived most of my life in Reading. I've never been able to get up much. I've been to maybe since I was old enough to go 2 or 3 games a season.
Yeah.
On average, I mean, I had a season ticket for a couple of years, and went to every home game. But I love West Ham as much as anyone else that's had a season ticket for 50 years. It's in my blood. I bleed claret and blue. You know, and I really, it's a massive honour for me to be able to come on and talk about that with yourself amongst this. So thank you more than anything for doing these. And for giving me the opportunity to have my say, because it means a lot.
Shut up, you make me cry. No, I know. Okay, man, thank you. No, I appreciate that. No, and that's the whole idea of it. Just give people opportunities to talk about the club they love, and that's why we do it. So, no, thank you. Cheers, guys. Appreciate that, and obviously, thank you to everyone for watching as well. Watching me and Gary waffle on for an hour and 8 minutes or whatever it was. Like, share, subscribe. Yep, he's finished his drink. I'm out now. I'm out as well. So yeah. And until next time, for me and Gary, take care, everyone. Come you Irons. Looking forward to next season. Come you Irons. See you, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Love you all. Bye bye.